everybody, I'm Andy Pruitt, and welcome to this edition of CCSD Insights News and Notes. In this episode, we are going to talk about the 1 cent sales tax that funds our capital programs and our capital maintenance efforts, specifically the Phase 4 projects that just wrapped up. And to help us in that conversation first is our Chief Operating Officer of Charleston County School District, Jeff Borowy. Jeff, thanks for taking time to speak with us today about Phase 4. And first off, for background, I was hoping you could provide a brief explanation of what the 1 cent sales tax is, what it can be used for, what it can't be used for, and specifically what it did for Phase 4.
So the Phase 4 sales tax is an extension of previous sales tax programs. It was passed in a referendum by Charleston County voters by an overwhelming majority in November of 2014. We received funding for this program between January of 2017 and December of 2022. The referendum has specific projects that can be funded, and it also includes a provision that allows us to use funding for capital maintenance and capital information technology.
And I think just to clarify things for people in our community, this is only for those things. It can't be used for things like curriculum. It can't be used for salaries.
Absolutely. It's specifically intended for programs within capital construction, maintenance, and information technology. It can be used solely for salaries within those programs. So there is a salary portion that can be funded, but it's predominantly used for the projects themselves.
So the amount of revenue that's generated through the 1 cent sales tax over a 6-year period is significant. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. What's the process the district goes through to spend that, and how do we remain transparent as we use those funds?
We've got a very well-established process that I believe is very transparent. It begins with getting Board of Trustee approval for each of the projects and tasks that we're going to accomplish. If we have a project that comes in under budget, we take those funds and present another project to the board, finding something that is the next highest priority that was unfunded. We've also had an audit of our program at the midpoint, looking at our agreed upon procedures, which is essentially looking at the efficiency and effectiveness of our program. We had no exceptions, highly successful. We have another one underway to close out the program. I expect it to be as successful. That in itself demonstrates that we've been good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. We've also had a Citizens Oversight Steering Committee. That committee is made up of volunteers that were nominated by municipal leaders, and that committee receives updates and overviews of our plans. They provide the staff counsel and advice on the program, and that's done throughout the entire course of the program.
We will talk more in depth about the new facilities and the sales tax that it supports later in this video with Jasmeen Shaw, our Executive Director of Capital Programs, who works in the Operations Division with you. But as you mentioned earlier, the revenue supports additional efforts, and one of them is capital maintenance. So what is that? And what are some of the big projects funded through Phase 4 as it relates to the capital maintenance budget?
So the use of these funds for capital maintenance has been huge. It's been able to close a gap in deferred maintenance, things within buildings that we've not been able to do, whole building system replacements. In this program alone for Phase 4, we've completed a staggering 283 tasks, and that's for all of the building systems. Some of the highlights are 48 HVAC projects, 36 flooring replacements, 36 roofing replacements. That's just to name a few, but it has been huge to be able to keep our facilities maintained that we've built, not only in the previous sales tax programs, but ones that we haven't got to yet.
Another major initiative is funding information technology and the upgrades over the past several years that were funded through the 1 cent sales tax. What were some of the major highlights when it relates to information technology and using the 1 cent sales tax there?
Well, as our viewers know, technology has been huge for more than a decade within education, and that really covers the entire Phase 4 program. In this program alone, we've been able to put a student device, an iPad or Chromebook, in every one of their hands. In addition to those 48,000 devices, we've provided more than 6,000 laptops to our teachers and staff. In the classrooms, we've put in Promethean panels, more than 3,300 of those. Those are in interactive whiteboards that allow for interactive education for our classes.
So the voters of Charleston County, you mentioned this, extended the sales tax a few years ago. or you mentioned the Phase 4 extension. There's now been another extension, Phase 5, which the voters of Charleston County approved back in 2020. So what are some of the plans to use the revenue that will come in through Phase 5, and will the same levels of transparency and oversight be in place for Phase 5?
Well, on the Phase 5 program, I'm glad you brought that up because it's an opportunity to thank our Charleston County taxpayers for passing that referendum. I look at it as they have confidence in the way we've managed previous programs, but even more importantly, they care about our students, giving our students the most up-to-date technology, the best facilities we can to ensure that they've got a great educational environment. They are the leaders of tomorrow, and we owe it to them, and I'm glad the taxpayers saw that. But this program will be, I believe, as transparent and as successful as the previous program. We're going to follow the same script. We're going to make sure we have the same protocols in place. And I'll say that that program is already off and running. Even though we've just started to capture funds in January of 2023, all three, capital construction, capital maintenance, and capital information technology, are up and running.
Jeff, thanks for your insight and for your overall leadership of the operations division here in CCSD. Well, up next, we're going to get into more detail about capital programs, the new facilities, and major renovations and expansions completed during Phase 4. To help us with that conversation, we now have joining us our Executive Director of Capital Programs, Jasmeen Shaw. Jasmeen, good to have you here. Now that you've joined the district, it's only been about a year, so you came in that final year of Phase 4. What was that like for you to join us for that last stage of Phase 4?
It was very exciting for me to come in at the very last stage, and really it could not have been a better time to enter any program. You know, Andy, at the end of any journey, there's lessons to be learned, there's process improvements, and of course there's celebrations to be had. So within my first summer within Capital, we've completed Phase 2 of the Stonyfield Athletic Project. Stonyfield is home to Burke High School athletic programs, and we also completed within my first summer the James Island Charter High School CTE and Gym Edition.
Jasmeen, plenty of new schools were built during Phase 4, and that's what the community tends to focus on, and rightfully so. Those are big ticket items.
Absolutely.
So hoping you could kind of go back through the list of those new schools, those specific new facilities that came online during Phase 4.
Absolutely. So we did 2 new elementary schools. We did Dunston as well as Burns. The Dunston project was a very unique project. We built that particular elementary school on what's called a live active campus. So as we were constructing, very next door was the elementary school, and we had to be very careful in that particular project. We also did 2 new middle schools. We did Camp Road Middle School as well as C.E. Williams South. And those were both great middle school additions, both to the West Ashley area and the James Island area. We also did the brand new high school in Mount Pleasant, which is called Lucy Beckham High School. And we did 2 new career and technology centers, of course, Cooper River CES, as well as the West Ashley CES. With all of our elementary, middle, or even high schools, all of our schools are built to the latest technology, air systems, codes and regulations. And so we're really excited to have went through those particular schools in Phase 4.
Of course, Capital Programs doesn't just oversee new facilities. You all are also involved with major renovation projects and expansions to campuses. So can you highlight some of those projects that were accomplished and completed during Phase 4?
Yes, Andy. We've done the Baptist Hill High School Career and Technology Edition, and some of the things that's unique about that program, we've offered engineering as well as building construction. Moultrie Middle School received 2 renovations, and that was considered the expansion of 3 wings, science wings, as well as an addition of an exploratory classroom. And of course, we cannot forget our Hot Gap edition for our middle school that we did for their fine arts to include orchestra as well as band.
And these were major projects, but I think it's important to highlight, and Jasmeen, you can go into more depth about this, why was it so important to upgrade our athletic facilities across the district?
Well, it's important because our students are important. We know that students are both academic, but they also have athletic abilities as well. And so it was important that we put an athletic facility and stadium in the Mount Pleasant area, again serving both Wando High School as well as Lucy Beckham High School. That particular stadium includes a new concession, restroom, brand new field, and around the perimeter we have space to support community events. Also for District 4, they have very similar activities as well, and it serves, again, our 4 high schools: Military Magnet, Stall High School, North Charleston, as well as Academic Magnet.
So your focus now turns to Phase 5, and I want to know a little bit about what's coming up for your team, where the public can go to learn more about what the voters of Charleston County approved just a few years ago.
So within our Phase 5 program, you're going to see, again, more elementary, middle, and high school upgrades. But something that's very unique about our Phase 5 program is we're going to include early education. So we're going to have opportunities to grow our infants, toddlers, and 4-year-old programs, as well as our family development centers. Again, focusing on the student as well as the families as a whole. So if you have any questions or interested in learning more about capital programs within CCSD, please visit us at our CCSD website. Go to Divisions tab, Operations, and select Capital Programs. You can also email us at capital@charleston.k12.sc.us.
Well, Jasmeen, hopefully this has been informational for people watching, but we just appreciate your time to speak with us. We also appreciate everything your team is doing and the relationships you have built and that your team has built with all the construction companies and architecture firms that have produced some amazing work across the district.
Well, thank you, Andy. It's been a great opportunity.
And thank you for watching this edition of CCSD Insights News and Notes. Until next time, I'm Andy Pruitt.